I'll just do a quick foundation routine, like glowy skin, especially since it's summertime. It's always great to do that. So let's get started. I've washed my face of everything. I always like to begin with that, and then in order to have a good base for my foundation, I found that it's great to moisturize as much as you can. Even if you have oily skin, I just find that it's really important to get that moisture. So today I'm going to use my Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream. I've been using this like crazy. This is my second little tub of it, and I just love it. It's very simple, just a white cream, and it just does its job. It doesn't really have a fragrance, but I find that my skin stays moisturized the entire day. Sometimes I'll use this at night, but other times I'll just use an oil for a night cream. But this is such a great consistency. It's not greasy, it's not oily, but it definitely does the job of moisturizing your skin. So once I have moisturized everything, we have something to start off with. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my primer. I wouldn't say I have terribly large pores, so I'm more concerned about hydrating my skin and getting it all prepped and having something for the foundation to stick onto. So I really like my Too Faced Hangover RX Replenishing Primer. It has like electrolytes, and I've talked about this before in a previous video, but I just really like this. So I'm just gonna pop this right in the middle of my face, a little on my forehead, and on my chin. And it smells so good. Alright, so now it's a little bit sticky. I wouldn't say sticky. Sticky's not a good word for it. It feels plump and moisturized and primed for some type of foundation to be put onto your skin. Alright, so today let's use the NARS foundation. I'm going to be using the NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation, and I am in the color Stromboli, although I do feel like this is a little bit dark and yellow on my skin tone, but we'll make it work. And so it says to shake well before you use, because it's very liquidy and it's kind of like a serum, I would say. I'll show you in just a second. But to add some luminosity to the skin, we're going to mix in some Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Opal. So I'm done shaking that, and this is great because it has a pump. So I'm just going to pump one pump onto the back of my hand, just like that. So very, very minimal. And then I'm just going to do a tiny, tiny bit. Oh, that's a lot more than I want. Okay. So I'm just going to wipe off the excess of that Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. So you can see, this is my foundation. There's the Skin Perfector, and I'm just gonna mix it on the back of my hand with my fingertips. I know this looks like it's not a lot of foundation, but this foundation in particular is so pigmented, you will not need a lot of it at all. So, sorry I'm so close to the camera, but I just want you guys to see what I do. And I like to concentrate it under my eyes, anywhere that is a little bit more red. So typically on my cheeks and around my nose. I leave my forehead pretty much bare because I don't really feel like I need that coverage. Then I'm gonna go in with a brush like this. It's like kind of like a buffer brush by Real Techniques. And then I'm just gonna buff that into my skin. So I first like to stipple and then do tiny circles. So I do have a couple of blemishes. It was that time of the month recently. So I will go back in and fix those in a second. I typically like to use this or a Real Techniques sponge, kind of like the Beauty Blender. I find that those two give great coverage and really smooths it into your skin. And I spend a lot of time buffing it into my skin just so that it really gets in there and it doesn't look caked on. So really take your time with this step of blending and blending and blending your foundation. I also like to take it down my neck just a little bit. just so if it's a slightly different color than my neck area, it doesn't look like I have a mask on my face. So as you can see, I kind of leave my forehead bare. Then I'll just take my brush with whatever it has left on it, probably not a lot, and then I'll just buff it into my forehead. I don't really even know if that does anything, but my forehead doesn't really need too much coverage. And it is a little bit darker than the rest of my face, so I don't like to put on a really foundation that matches down here on top of my forehead. So you can kind of see like the luminous look is already coming through, especially with that Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. I swear that changes any foundation into more of a glowy foundation without making it oily, if that makes sense, because the NARS foundation I really don't think is oily because it's so watery and it kind of has like a semi-matte finish, but once you add in that Becca I keep on saying Skimmering, but I think I'm trying to say shimmering and skin at the same time. But Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector mixed in with it, I think that it does a great job of just like lightly reflecting the light. And I also have a light, so it might look even more glowy than it really is. But this kind of is a good example of if you use flash photography, what your face would look like. So yeah, just glowy, not oily, just kind of like that glow within look. Alright, so now I'm going to go in and conceal some areas. I have two concealers that people think are very similar. It is the NARS Radiance Creamy Concealer, and then I have the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. So these two kind of look similar, even the packaging is similar, except for this is about like a quarter of the price of this. This is in the color 20 Sand Sable, and then this one is in medium 1 Custard. So I like to use concealer under my eyes, and I've compared these two, and I honestly think that this creases a lot less than this. Yes, it is creamy, but this is a little bit more liquidy, and I almost feel like that is the reason why it helps to not crease under my eyes. So I'm going to use that under my eyes, but I'm going to use the NARS concealer to conceal any of my imperfections and blemishes, because I think that has better coverage than this. So I'm just going to put it underneath my eyes, just like that. And I also like to use it to highlight down the bridge of my nose. Okay, then I'm going to use my fourth finger to blend that out. I like to use my fingers to blend out my under eyes because the warmth of your fingers will really help blend it in. It's also a very delicate area, so you don't want to put too much pressure on it. So then it just blends out like that. It's really easy to blend out. So, and one time I even forgot to set this under eye concealer with powder, and throughout the day it didn't really crease. So I was really impressed with it, and that's why I continue to use it under my eyes. And then the NARS Creamy Concealer isn't terrible. It's not like, oh my gosh, I can never wear this under my eyes, but I just find that this is a little bit better. And then I'm going to go in with my NARS concealer and get those blemishes. I'm going to come up a little bit closer so you can see them. I have a sucker right here. And I have one right here. And I like to just do it around my nose area as well, because that sometimes tends to be a little bit red. And this time I'm just going to go again with my brush and lightly dab. You don't want to swipe it because it'll just move the product away from where you want it. So just tiny dabbing, dabbling, and it won't completely get rid of the blemish, which is totally fine because it still is your skin. So I'm going to be using this Real Techniques. I know I've been using a lot of Real Technique brushes, but this is so great. It's their I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of like, oh, number 301, that's the brush name, and it is a little bit dirty because I've been using it a lot, and I really like it, and it's a great contouring brush. So I'm going to take my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer powder here, and I'm going to dip it in. It's very pigmented, and I don't need a lot because I don't like that fake contour look, and I just want it to be subtle. So I'm going to place it right here on my hairline where my ear starts, and just bring it right below my cheekbone. Just right there. So it does look a little intense right now, so then we're gonna blend it out with that brush. So I like to blend it up first and then slightly down. You don't want to bring it too far down here, otherwise you'll look a little bit on the dirty side. So you want to blend it up and just down your cheekbone. Yep, just like that. You don't want to bring it too forward as well. You want that angle to go from your ear to the corner of your mouth. But I like to stop right about where my eyes come down. Like the corner of my eye comes down to like right here. I would not go any further than that. Otherwise, it'll just be too intense. So you can kind of see the difference, and it's very subtle, and that's the look I'm going for. So from this side to this side. So let's contour the left side of my face. So I'm going to be using a NYX cream blush. It is really, in the color Natural. It looks like this. And so I just like put my finger in there and I dab it on the tops of my cheeks. I'm gonna need a mirror for this. So I like to use my fingers because once again we have that warmth, and just on the apples of the cheeks and blend it out. This will help us continue with that pretty glow across our cheekbones. I'm just gonna grab a little bit more, and you can just work slowly. It blends out really easily, but you wanna start off slow and build it up so that you don't overdo it. All right, so now that my cheek is nice and pink, I'm gonna go ahead on the other side. So now that I have my bronzer, I have my cheeks just a little bit flushed, I am going to just set certain parts of my face with a loose powder. So once again, this is totally a Real Techniques brush video. I'm going to be using the Real Techniques brush in the Duo Fiber face brush. I'm going to set my face with the Chanel Universal Libre Natural Finish Loose Powder in Natural, and it's translucent. So I'm just going to take a little bit from the lid, and I'm just going to set my under eyes because I know that that's pretty important. So I'm going to place this under my eyes, and I want to leave my cheek area kind of still dewy and not so powdered down and matte. So I'm going to keep it right under my eyes. And then I'm going to also run it down the bridge of my nose because I know that that can get a little shiny. And yes, we want dewy, but we don't want shiny and oily. Down my chin. Yeah, so everywhere basically except for that cheek area. The final step is going to be finishing it off with some Fix Plus spray. This is the Yuzu Fix Plus that they came out in their more scented collection. So I like to just spritz this across my face. Once again, this will give us more glow, but it also seals everything in. So let that kind of dry. And if you are in a rush and you don't have the Becca Skin Perfector, or you know, you still want that glow, just spritz this over any foundation and I promise you, you will look so glowy, but in a very natural way that's not oily. And it also does set your makeup really, really well, and it's very refreshing. Like that yuzu scent is kind of a citrusy scent. They also have lavender and rose, but I like the citrus scent, and since it's really hot in the summer, you can just spritz your face whenever you want to and replenish your skin, re-moisturize it, and just set your makeup. So that is the finished look for my foundation. I hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comment section below. Other than that, I will see you very soon, I promise. Bye!
The storms we chase